something happens that I don't control, and then I come in and I do some special little works on it. And it's so fun. I love that. I prefer that than control, total control.
I I agree. I always say I don't know what's about to happen. Even
Yeah.
when I think I do, I don't know. I can't. But that lack of control for me is what keeps me coming back.
Bebop, artist, bebop, artist, bebop, bebop.
All right. So the funny thing about the art world is you can be in a ton of shows with somebody and still not, after all those shows and years, not have a full conversation with the other artists. And for me, Dr. Lorena Fernandez is one of those artists. So I'm excited. I had to move to North Texas, and you're in the Netherlands now.
Yes,
So,
I'm in Amsterdam.
so that's what has to happen sometimes for an actual conversation to be enacted about art. How are you doing?
Good, really good. Excellent. And it's nice to reconnect with old friends. And I feel like it has to do more with the pandemic. So
No, totally, totally. Before we get started, tell people where they can find your artwork.
okay, so they can go to my website, lfcreative.org.
Okay.
And there's links in there to all the things I do.
Okay, great. I'm getting your publicity. I'm learning things as I go along. But no, this podcast was definitely brought on by the pandemic. I missed talking to my friends.
Yeah.
We have art shows here, and I only see those guys through Zoom now. But
yeah,
then
it's getting pretty lonely. Yeah.
it, yeah. Well, I have a ton of children around me, so not that lonely.
No, you're very busy. I also have my family, so I'm lucky that way too.
Yeah, yeah. It's not quite isolation.
No.
People still
For you
need
is
things.
you have to talk to your babies, so it's different topics.
I'm re I'm relearning my alphabet. It's
yeah.
my numbers. I was looking at your website with your artwork before I got on, and I remember your work, and it'd been a while since I had looked, and there's a definite evolution. Do you feel that?
Probably because my work is all about my emotional life. Like it's only about that. so so as I mature and I move forward and becoming from a child to a teenager to an adult to an old lady like now, I have changed a lot. But one thing that hasn't changed is that my painting is about my emotional life at that time. Even if it's for example, now my paintings have a lot of um, tulips, of course,
Hmm?
because I'm in the Netherlands. But that penetrates my mind and the beauty of the flowers around here. This city is really, really beautiful, Amsterdam. So it had to have an impact.
I was in Amsterdam, I think when I was 17. Yeah, really beautiful. I love that there were flowers everywhere. People,
Yeah.
that's a thing, and
It is. They're so serious about the flowers. Oh my gosh.
I was very
I love.
jealous when I saw that. But
Yeah,
I think that's interesting, because how environment can affect what you do creatively. I, even
for
um,
sure. Yeah.
I remember I took a road trip with my brother to New Mexico, and I could see the landscape creeping into what I was doing. So, how long have you been there now?
It's been almost 3 years.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and it's treated you well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. But of course, now it's really weird because the mobility is limited since March because of the pandemic. So sometimes I feel like I could be anywhere, but actually, I go out walking with my husband like every night.
Yeah,
And it's such a cute city, so crazy and quirky with their the cool old houses from the 16th century and 18th century, and they're all crooked. They're still standing,
yeah,
and then all the flowers and a lot of people in the streets with bicycles, and they're all funky. They're all cool. These Dutch people with their crazy jackets. I love it. So there's a lot to feed your eye if you're a visual person.
is that where you did your coursework for your degree in the Netherlands, or
No, I that was in Switzerland.
okay?
Also amazing in a different way with the
Yeah,
nature.
can you talk about your degree a little bit? Because I know it's in expressive arts, but
Yeah, my degree is about the use of the arts for individuals and for groups, um, to produce a change in the mental state, or to find new perspectives on difficult situations. So it can be therapy and it can be coaching. So that's if there is let's say there's a crisis, you see like people going to the media and saying stupid things, because people don't know what to do in a crisis. So if you do expressive arts after that with your team, then you kind of first of all get out of the fog of emotional, turmoil from a crisis, and people can think more clearly and kind of join one page, you know, like find common ground to, let's say you're a company, you can face the media and you all know what is happening and what you expect for the future and how you're going to fix your mistake, or, it's to bring people together. And if it's an individual, of course, if you're in a moment of crisis, I think as artists, we know that that's whenever anything like that bad happens, I go to my art, to clay or to painting, because I know that it helps me process the emotions very much. I cannot just talk about things. I need to make an object or an image, and then I start to get some words to go with that.
yeah, no, that's I've always said I'm thankful that I've had art all along,
Oh my God, yeah. Me too.
because I my life would have been a lot different without this mode of expression.
Oof, yeah.
Even when I didn't, it took me a good while to become conscious of that it is what kept me regulated. So
Yeah, yeah.
uh, on that note, things like creative block, do you believe in that?
Oh yeah.
Do you? Okay.
Oh yeah. No, well, people suffer from that because they,
Have you ever?
not me,
Okay.
because the thing is that I never cared about if other people like it. It never,
So yeah,
all
that
about my
probably,
heart. And it's like, do you hate it? Well, that's fine, but my heart likes it.
that's interesting because I think that's probably the root of most of the time that I hear that. I don't understand it because I just
See that?
I create every day because that's what I do. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And but yeah, thinking back to conversations where somebody had a block, they're oftentimes thinking about how it's going to be perceived or how it's not as good as this or that. And
Yeah. That's so painful, like they're because this inner critic that is telling them that thing, that inner critic doesn't know. It has no idea. Nobody
yeah,
knows. you know? It's so funny that the inner critic thinks, oh, nobody will like this. This is shit. It's like,
yeah.
you don't know, inner critic. So,
Well, and yeah, I have always had a who cares attitude. They're
yeah,
because
it's,
it's mine and I created it and I like it.
yeah. And this idea that there's this crowd of people who are not gonna like it. uh, some people have told me about that they fear this crowd of people. They
Yeah.
will laugh at it and they think it's ridiculous. And well, first of all, the crowd doesn't exist. That that crowd of people is not out there. It's
No one's. Well, I think what happens is it's such a vulnerable thing
it is,
to
yeah.
make even even the work that I consider more lighthearted, maybe less personal, is still very personal, and I'm
Yeah.
still putting whenever I exhibit it, however I exhibit, I am still exposing myself to the world.
Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
why you as an artist, the people who call themselves artists like me, I also call myself that. uh, I think it's well, maybe it is courage or maybe it is exhibitionism.
Or maybe we don't know
But
any better.
yeah, 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 like because I think that everybody has that inner life, not just the people who are artists, and I think that it's important for people um, to express their inner life somehow, and not necessarily to show it to anyone, but it's important to express it, because otherwise you don't know what you think. You know, it's
Yeah.
like all these insights and all these images and all these things that you don't know about yourself. You're a mystery to yourself, and people can be a mystery the whole time and go to their grave as a mystery to themselves, never got to know themselves. It's like, oh, that's so sad. Write some stuff, write, paint or play, make some songs. It's so important.
I always say I can't speak for growing up for me, like outside of this country, because I've had this discussion before. And I remember a lady, she was from Honduras, and she said, well, it's not like that in our country. Art is encouraged. Um, but here, especially, a lot of the small talk that comes to artists, myself, if I'm showing artwork or somebody's just chatting to me about art and they don't make art, there's almost this pride to saying, I'm not artistic. I don't know how to do anything. I can't draw. I can draw a stick figure. There's like, it's almost a pride. And so my work, my existence has in a way become a thing where I want people to realize that there's no pride in that.
Yeah.
that, that you could, that even a stick figure, if you drew it enough times and started conceptualizing it enough, it could become
Absolutely.
something really interesting. You could
Yes.
make the world's most giant stick figure, or I don't know, anything. The
Yeah.
the the root of it is it's fun.
Yeah. And the stick figure can show so many things. I mean,
Yeah.
can be doing anything, can do everything a human can do, a stick figure. So, and also I think that's kind of that is a myth that that people are not creative. It's like, creativity is part of the basic human package, you know, you
Well,
know.
it's expression,
Yeah,
and we all, even if you don't have vocal cords, we all express. We all seek to express in some manner.
yeah.
So um, it's just a strange idea, and I don't know where. I don't know if it is the education system here. You've been abroad more. How do you perceive it?
I think that the issue could be that in the US, there's a big emphasis on things producing money, and there's less of a emphasis on things producing good mental health, family union, or other things, community union.
Or just
So
general happiness?
happiness. I think
Yeah.
that the the focus of do something productive, people say do something productive. What does that mean? Does that mean creating life, bringing children to the earth? No, something productive. Oh, does that mean making a lot of paintings? No, productive means money, you know so then it's like everything is reduced to that, and then that makes a lot of people think that they're not creative because people are not going to buy something they make, or they come to that conclusion without trying. And I think that they did not account for the money spent in mental health pills and stuff, because you didn't express yourself, you didn't keep a journal, you didn't do your artwork, you didn't do your dance. you know it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that affects your mental health and everyone around you. You're walking around all sad because you're not expressing your emotions, and that's all bottled down. So I think
That
if you
reminds
want to
me.
if you want to change everything into money, think about the cost of getting sick from repressing yourself, the cost of getting depressed. There's a lot of cost right there that you could be saving if everything needs to be put into money.
For sure. That reminds me of it just the memory just came back. But my father, so I graduated from high school, and then yeah, it was the summer, and I didn't. I was just waiting for for college to start. But my father had this idea that I needed to be productive, and he would just, you know, be angry about it when he came home. And so he came home one day and he said, "What did you do today? What did you do that was productive?" I was like, "Well, I wrote a poem." And yeah, he didn't like that answer. So I was like, "Fine." And I went and I got a job at a produce store. And I remember thinking, this doesn't feel productive.
I know.
I'm
The
I
poem was
liked it.
much more productive.
I liked it, and looking back, it was more productive for me to sit at home and do, because I wasn't. I mean, I was. It was leisurely, but I was still working. All of that informed who I eventually became. But
Yeah,
it
sure. Yeah, I mean, it goes back for so long, right? Maybe this idea of being productive, that has to be. not something for the spirit or for beauty. Being productive means money. Maybe from the Industrial Revolution. I don't know when it started, but
Well, it's
you need to
the,
be on a production chain and be putting one little thing on, on something.
well, yeah. At least here, it is largely the education system. There's schools that are made to make us workers and clock into 9 to 5. And what's funny about right now is all of that is being turned upside down. I read
Yeah.
an article the other day about how it's going to change this, and it is changing the city dynamics. The idea that if you live in a suburb and you don't have to commute 5 days a week into the city, if you're only doing that 2 days and you're working from home and you're still getting work done, and just the idea of this big super building that houses this factory is changing. So I think,
Yeah.
as strange as this time is, it's productive. For me, I'm here with my children, and I've had to use that creative muscle to put myself out online more, and that's how we've thrived in this, actually. And it makes
Wow.
me think, the idea of going back to normal. I'm like, I'm not so sure I like that normal,
Yeah.
because I like the things I was doing, but and that wasn't a 9 to 5 structure either. But I have rethought, man, if I wanted to stay home and just teach my kids, I could do that. Well, I am doing that. It's weird.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
because we learn our stuff. We have art time. It's cool.
So cool. They're so lucky.
Yeah, I agree. So,
Yeah.
like as far as you creating, how often are you in studio?
Very often, because I paint one painting a week or something like that, and then I do small watercolors and small doodlings
I think the
all
doodlings
the
is what I
time.
was looking at
Yeah,
on your
I
on
do
your
that.
website. I love those. I think that was the thing I noticed is from what I remembered to your work, it's still very flowy, but I liked the lines I was seeing. They were harder,
Uh,
darker, more defined. So,
yeah, that's a weird thing that happens. I first apply like all the background, all the
mhm.
colors, and then I don't even know what I'm doing. And then I start to pick out shapes with the black marker. And
Yeah,
then I really enjoy it, and it's so fun. It's like a collaboration between chaos and the universe and me, you know.
yeah.
Something happens that I don't control, and then I come in and I do some special little works on it. And it's so fun. I love that. I prefer that than control, total control.
I, I I agree. I always say I don't know what's about to happen, even
Yeah.
when I think I do. I don't know. I can't. But that lack of control for me is what keeps me coming back, because I feel like I'm a spectator as well. I think what you just described, um, like you said, you weren't in. I think I'm trying to retrace what you said, but that um, I feel like it's almost not me sometimes. Is that what you feel?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like, well, first, sometimes I have zero, sometimes I have an idea and I try to do that. But very often I come in and I don't even know, I come in and I start thinking about like a weird feeling in my head, and I just put like some black lines about that feeling, and then all of a sudden I have like an insect or something, I didn't plan this. And yeah, I feel that is being in touch with the mystery, with real life. To me, that's real life, and fake life is the illusion of, oh, I know exactly what will happen and I have full control of things. So it's like a model or a microcosm of real life. I don't really know. I'm trying to influence this situation on this paper, but that's it.
I think it's weird because it's another force, and I don't really have an answer for what that is. I don't
Yeah.
lose sleep. I appreciate it. I'm just thankful for it. I'm grateful and I use it, but I don't know where that comes from. I don't know what propelled me to, become what I am.
It's so good that you did it, even if you didn't have encouragement at home because it wasn't something that they knew about or whatever.
Well, there was my dad, but then there was my mom.
Ah, okay.
Now, neither of them understand what I do for a living.
Okay.
But at this point, I think you surrender, and I think they thought we're not going to stop him. My mom was always encouraging, but at the same time, she always had the same lectures that you had to do something that made money. And especially when I look at it at this stage of my career, I'm like, this can make money. You just need people around you that aren't going to keep saying that.
Mm-hmm.
You can make money doing, especially today, a lot of absurd things that aren't traditionally how you make money. So what I feel like that idea is dying, which is great. Some things need to go on; they need to pass. But yeah, I definitely. At some point, we got past that, and my father just learned to be quiet. I mean, he's
That's
still,
great.
but even then, he still looks at it like, well, he's not really working. And all that is I think people also equate the idea that you shouldn't have fun at work.
Huh.
And I'm
Saying
having
probably the most successful people have fun at work. That's precisely why they're
right. Yeah, right.
Like all day, say something else, computer science or whatever. Probably the only way to be successful is to have fun at work. Somehow you need to find the fun.
Yeah.
And
No,
yeah, and
I think so.
Lots of things are very creative, and they have more support, I guess, because of our culture. But now with this shift that we're learning that we can be connected like this, like, distance is not a problem anymore. And these creative expressions over the internet just open the door for collaborations, like across the world. Like, that's not a problem at all. It's insane.
Well, just dialogue. I mean, it was cool because I think this is episode. I think we're lucky 13.
Okay.
But and I didn't really have a schedule starting this podcast, but I've been releasing them weekly, but I guess I took comfort. I took too much artist comfort, and man, I know a lot of people. And one of the things is I just you were in my Facebook feed, and I saw the paintings behind you. I was like, wow, those are looking awesome. And I remember I think it was probably the last time we spoke was at a First Saturday Arts Market in Houston in the
Yes.
Heights.
Yeah.
And you said like, I want to have a conversation sometime. And I remembered that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, we've never like just hung out and talked art.
Yeah.
I was like, well, let's do
I,
it.
rem- I remember when you used to do a lot of photography, and you used to have these pictures of like I don't know if it was Mayan,
Yeah, yeah. That
and I
was
really like that. It was so cool. It's like wow.
one of my last series before I kind of stopped using the camera
Hmm.
to express. But yeah, now there's a Mayan paint series. But
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, it's way different because I draw differently. But I started to enjoy the thing with photography was it became so digital, and I miss making things with my hands. And
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it had its time. I still feel like I use it. I use it to market myself, the photography.
Yeah, for sure.
But and I use everything I learned from it. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny to just look at your own history sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a weird, very beautiful journey, but or it can be.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that part of we have control. You know, speaking of control, we have control over whether we enjoy it or not.
Exactly. Like if you have, like for me, I have my art. Let's say everything goes to shit. I still have my art, It's like you can you can destroy me emotionally because I have my art. you know.
Well, and yeah, and I don't know about you, but I've been there.
Yes, yes. When we first moved here, it was a big change, and I had to leave my work that I was teaching, Introduction to the Humanities with Expressive Arts. I was having a lot of fun with that, and I felt like that was something important that I was doing with the young people. It was so fun and exciting to see these young kids, they're like 18 to 25. Like I would be watching the news and I would think at home, oh my God, we're just not gonna make it. The human species is going out. We can't do it. We can't do this. And then I go to my classroom and have the kids do all kinds of crazy expressive arts things, and share about their ideas and their thoughts in the class. And I come out with my heart so full, like I love humanity, you know. So then when we had to move here, of course, for me, moving here was another adventure. So I cannot choose less adventure over more adventure. You know what I mean? Like because I could have said no, I have to stay here and continue with what I'm doing, which was great and I really love it. But because this was unknown, this other thing of moving here, then I had to go with that because I need to know more stuff. So and it was so hard at first, scary with my daughter, and just everybody should be calm and keep things good and people don't freak out. And I just made a lot of big paintings, of tsunami, because I felt like it was a tsunami of change moving here.
Wow.
And that really helped. It gives me emotional support when I do that thing, that painting thing. Yeah.
I can't imagine because it was 4 years ago I moved to these parts,
Oh
And
yeah.
that was a big shift for me because I didn't know anybody here really.
Yeah.
I knew one person kind of, but Houston had been my home for a long time, and so but I say through that transition because I had art,
Yeah.
it was a lot easier, and even to me, I had all the tools. That's the thing. It's like a seed. It's like having seeds when you have
Yeah.
creativity because I just started to plant and farm out here, and things happen. So I think about if I relocated again for whatever reason, I wouldn't be as apprehensive because we have this dialogue. Um, and as you said, this pandemic has especially brought that home. It pushed me to have these conversations more, and I'm not limited to the people that I see all the time. I talk to them too. They're of course important, but just having that dialogue with people in different parts of the world, it's awesome. And
Yeah.
it'll only expand the consciousness. I
Yeah.
mean, I always liked your work and I always liked your energy, but I didn't realize
Thank you.
we're
Me too.
we're kind of similar. So and not in everything, but you come from the same place of creativity, I think. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's so great. One of the things that I really like, my daughter told me, she's 17. Imagine moving when you're 16 or 15 to a new country.
Yeah.
Not great. But anyway, now she's great. And she told me the thing that she learned, the main thing that she learned is that people are the same everywhere. I was like, oh my God, it's true, We we're just human beings, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. This is what we are.
Yeah. I think
This is not brush water.
okay, good, good. I was worried. I was worried you were going into the turpentine, but no, I think the most powerful example of that happened when I was a teenager. I went to a trip to Jerusalem and or Israel. We went through the whole country, but we started in Jerusalem, and we would go to all of these different places within the city, and they were all different religions. And so I was looking at how people worshiped. And, at a tender 17, I'm looking at how there's hostility between these places of worship. And, but having visited all of them, the mosque, the Wailing Wall, this Orthodox church, this church, I just realized everyone was praying to the same thing. And it's just, of course, whatever you were brought up with will be how you choose. But everybody wants the same thing for the most part.
Yeah.
If they're in, I was happy that I had that experience at an early age. And your daughter asking you that, she has had a similar experience, and it's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool to have that click at an
It's
early age.
amazing. Yeah. Because that makes you not afraid.
Yeah.
Makes you not afraid to go anywhere in the world when you know that humans are gonna be pretty much like you. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's not,
I guess
not
I guess
nothing extremely different. We just
yeah,
we want the same thing.
yeah. I hadn't thought about that in a while, and how that actually affected my outlook. Because I have been called like a little fearless a lot, but I think that was a big part of it. Is that demystified everything. You know, we even when we were about to go to that trip, they talked about how people would act differently, and and there were cultural differences. You know, like I remember the main thing was it was through my high school, and, so Father Hannah said, you know, you'll find that people are curt and just trying to get you along. He's like, that's not anyone being rude. They just want you to not have to wait and get you what you need as quickly as possible. And but it was so true, you know. But but really, it just came out of care and concern for whoever they were dealing with.
Uh,
That's yeah. I hope I can send my kids on trips like that. I think I froze. All right, here we are.
did your it
Yeah.
froze a little?
Whenever
Okay.
whenever I talk to someone overseas, it lags. Yeah, it's inevitable. So what's next? What are you most excited about?
What is next? um, Now, after, it was so funny to make plans in the pandemic, because but I'm excited about the vaccine. But what I love to do is to give expressive arts workshops to groups, and I also love to teach young adults about expressive arts and the humanities, and so I don't know if I'll get a chance to do that here. Uh, I have a nice studio here, so I can have 6 people here, and I have been teaching. Before all this happened, I had a group of women, grown-up women, and then I also did some with kids of different ages. But I think I would like to join like college or something here, school that is interested in art as a way to understand the human mind, the society, whatever, understand humans. What the heck are we doing? you know? And I would love to join an organization that helps, that is educational, to bring that to the kids. I think it makes such a difference. And I know that many people told me, these kids, some of them were not kids, they're grown-ups, and they had children. And they told me that they brought some of the things that we did, because, for example, we did music improvisation, which is hilarious. It's just I brought a bunch of percussion instruments.
I think my baby's doing that.
yeah. And then the only rule is that somebody starts with a beat, and then everybody has to listen first and then jump in with their instrument. And they've never done this, and they've never played music. But sometimes it went so long, we didn't want to stop. It was so good. We're into it, and there is a resonance of the heart or something. We're like all feeling so like we're collaborating on this thing, and it's so cool. It's like magic.
It's very tribal.
Totally. That's when oh, I am totally like a tribeswoman. Totally. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is it. So,
yeah.
I mean, all the weird. I also had them use clay and make things, like your biggest fear or your biggest desire, things like that. And then you understand why all these old myths have to do with clay, like God made, people out of clay and whatever, because it feels like that. It feels like, every time you're making a little thing, you
Yeah.
think, oh my God, this is my heart. Oh my God, this is the horse I want to be. I want to run free in the prairie, and like all your insides just collide on this clay, this little symbol. And they were telling me this, they everybody has this. That's when people tell me I'm not creative. And all these students, they were like nurses. They were gonna study to be a policeman, engineer, like all kinds of things, because it was introduction to the humanities. Everybody had to take it. So, so that's where you see, well, uh, every human is capable of creating symbols to represent something, and that's what art is, and that's what we're doing here. So I don't accept this. I'm not creative.
Well,
I let them say it, because I'm not gonna be fighting with people. It's like, okay,
so go,
that
I guess I'm very fascinated by that apprehension that I'm not creative thing here, because even just visiting Europe, I haven't spent a ton of time, but I spent some time. I lived in France for a little bit, but I just feel like the balance between the people who are not, or have that thing about being proud about not being creative, it's higher here. It's louder.
yeah, you're right. Like here, people are proud of being creative. And
Yeah. Yes. That's
the US
exactly.
people are proud of not being creative.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's the
guess,
difference between just the abundance of art and culture. It's morphing here, um, and um, to me, I really, you know, we're like little pulses in the universe, but I want to be part of the pulse that changes that idea.
oh,
I don't. Um,
I think you are. Everywhere you go, you make this center.
well, you too. But,
Get all these
what?
people all excited.
Well, it's important. It's important to enjoy life.
Yeah.
You were talking about kids, like the space that I work at here. Um, so what we started was 2,800 square feet, and I had no clue what I was doing. Just that we were given this space by the city of Hearst, and we were going to do something. So, they wanted a kids camp. I'm like, okay, cool. And so the first few weeks was chaos because, as I said, we didn't quite know what we were doing. But my concept was, it's an open studio. So they come in, they might ask me or one of the volunteers how to draw something, but I'm not telling them what to do, because that's just from my own experiences, how I came to creativity.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking. I never asked somebody, how do I draw a turtle? I just drew it.
Yeah. So happy that you're doing it like that.
Yeah, well,
That's one of the reasons why I couldn't study sometimes, because people were trying to tell me how to draw something. It's like, I'm not here. I'm sorry. I'm here for my soul, for my heart, for the spirit. I'm not here for this.
I think the thing that the thing that irks me the most is somebody who says you're doing that wrong. You're drawing wrong. Like, you don't draw wrong, you just draw.
Yeah, exactly.
And part of what maybe that critic is seeing as imperfection is that person's voice. It's the
Yeah,
rhythm of their hand. It's um, maybe that's just how they're wired. It's what will make their imprint on what their final product will be.
exactly.
And that's so important to encourage
Yeah,
and yeah, make more prolific.
yeah. And
We'll get there, Lorena.
it's so boring. It's like, why do you want to draw like someone else? They already did it. Like do something different, do your own thing. You have this treasure of imagination and this weird wiring in your hands and your fingers, and things come out this different way, and you're gonna waste it to copy something that was already there. Oh God, I could fall asleep just thinking about that. So boring.
One of the funniest moments I had in my creative life was coming from a photography background. I always, before children, now I don't go anywhere, but but I would be at the museums regularly. But I remember it was a series about landscapes in the U.S. and they were just very detailed and looked so realistic. And I remember just sitting there thinking, I was like, I wonder, like, if when the camera was invented, these artists were like, yeah, dang it, that took me years to paint. Now you're just going to, the way the way photographers felt about digital, they felt about the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
But and then that informed the idea that, well, I know how to take pictures. When I paint, I don't want to do, and I have my moments where I will get a little realistic, but it's more of just a feeling. Like sometimes, most of the times I'm just everywhere, like a frenetic insanity. But then sometimes I do have those moments where I just want to slow down and pick at some details.
Yeah.
So it's
And I think now, with the way technology is going, a robot can make art.
yeah.
It's basically like, okay, well, yeah, so you better pay attention and cherish your weird human quirks, because that's where you're different than, you know, that's why we keep you around. Otherwise, we just get a robot. Get rid
You
of
know,
you, robot.
it's funny. It's funny you're talking about that because that's been. I don't talk about it too much because I get weird looks. But this idea that eventually, probably, yeah, robots will be making their own unique art. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what we're doing will be archaic. we
No,
we won't
I
be
because what
I
the
don't I don't see it as sadness. I think it's all the more reason to appreciate what you're doing right now.
because I mean, for me, art is about my emotions and the evolution of my spirit. Robots don't have a spirit and don't have emotions, but they would be focused entirely on what for many is the interesting part of pictures, which is what they look like. You know, are they cool to look at from the outside? Okay, well, that's a group of pictures that are cool to look at from the outside, but there's no story about what this means. What is this mean? What is this symbolism?
Yeah.
It's very amazing because around here there's an artist that's making these really cool, amazing paintings. And I walk by and it's like, wow, these are so cool. But at the same time, there's like I don't know. He's not telling me anything about, like what is the inspiration. I need the story, because I need to make a human connection to this. I need to know something about this. Besides, for me, I need to know what something means, because beauty, I love beauty. Of course I do. Flowers, everything, blue skies, birds, trees, I love all that. Mountains. But um, but when I am looking at art, I need to know the heart of the artist. I need to know something about it. And that's how I connect. And I know not everybody's like that, but
Well, it's interesting because that just is a two-tiered thing. I remember seeing an exhibition about Goya, or it was a lecture, and I always loved. I had a book of his etchings, but it was just a picture book. And I knew that I loved these things, and when the guy lectured about it, he went into the history of that series and how Goya was deaf and was making those during the Civil War and all the atrocities that he saw and especially the idea that he's deaf and watching these. There's no soundtrack, and that's why those pieces were so powerful. It is cool to get the story, but sometimes it's even cooler that without the story, you could almost feel the story,
yeah.
even though having that secondary narrative brings it all together. It's neat that, like, the guy you're describing, there probably is a story, and that's why you think they're so cool, and hopefully one day you get the story. But
Yeah, I wish he would tell me the story right away.
quick.
Please. Tell me about your broken heart right now.
Yeah, what I think that's interesting is it's funny that there are artists, and I put myself in this category, that just our hearts are just on our sleeve, and that's first of all probably dangerous for us, but because people get so close to us, and then there are others that are very guarded with their creativity and their expression, and it all stems from, it's a very personal thing.
Yeah,
It
it's
is,
a you have to know where's your preference, because if you don't like your stuff out there, it would be bad. You'll feel bad if it's out there.
Yeah, you feel the need to make it. Yeah. It Well, and I always say, like, you don't you don't always have to tell everything. I remember my brother. I don't know if you remember my brother, but he would help me.
Oh yeah,
exhibit.
yeah. I remember him. Yeah.
He would help me exhibit sometimes, and then there was a piece, and I had I guess I'll describe it. I was in a relationship, and this was a painting of a fish, and there was lines that went through it, and so the person that I was with would cut themselves. By the time I was out of that relationship, I felt like I had been cut with those neat little lines, and so the fish had the cuts on its side. And so somebody asked my brother about this piece, and I had told him that story.
Oh no.
And usually my brother, it's like, oh yeah, he did this, and he's pretty knowledgeable, or he was knowledgeable of my work. But when they asked him that, he just he was like, huh, and he didn't really answer. He's like, I don't know. And I was like, yeah. At that time, I wasn't going around telling that story. So there are some pieces where
Yeah, it's
I'm
private.
like, I'm not going to talk about what that's
Yeah,
about. I'm glad you liked the piece, but
yeah.
so there,
I
you
yeah
can
I
have some boundaries.
yeah, for sure. I have pieces that I don't show. They're private.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have my little stash. It's private.
There you go.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's
there.
important that you know that, and it's not so easy to know that boundary. Uh, am I okay with people knowing this?
Yeah, it, but it's also okay. We figure it out as we go. So
Yeah, because as artists, we are sharing about the human heart. This I feel like this is a service too. A lot of people are not sharing about their heart, and then they look at art and music and other things to express that or their pain or and so it's important in a way. It's like a personal challenge to share certain things that are edgy, that are a little bit I guess.
it,
I don't know if we want to pretend like everything's perfect all the time, or it's not true. Like, but there is this desire to be perfect or to have things under control, and then when they're not, and we put out work that shows that, um, it helps some people that are also feeling injured or whatever, hurt or sad. That's the whole point of art,
what,
right? To help.
what
I mean, the
it's
whole point.
dialogue.
That's one of
It's
the
that.
main.
Yeah. Well, it's dialogue, and it is empathy, because that's part of dialogue. Dialogue is wanting to connect to other people,
Mhm.
and yeah, in that respect, totally.
And also, like when I have painted some things that have been about, difficult situations in my life, uh, I takes a feeling that I'm having that is I don't like to have it, and then I paint about it, and somehow it becomes less painful. And then I share it, and then someone else who might have had a feeling like that can see it and feels better that they're not alone. So it's like win-win.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna close this out. Can you tell us again where people can find you and connect with you?
Well, my easiest place online is lfcreative.org. It's a short LF for Lorena Fernandez, creative.org.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, thank you. It was nice to finally have our conversation.
Yes. Thank you for getting up so early or late. I don't know.
Yeah, it's well, it's 7 now, but yeah, no
Oh,
problem. This is I mean, the kids will be up soon, so, but it was just a little bit earlier. But yeah, time zones are funny. So so yeah, I asked you, I think at 10, so you're like, yeah, that's 5 a.m. here.
yeah. And in fact, I was awake. So
But, yeah. Well, I wasn't sure exactly where you were. I knew you were overseas, but okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back.
Yeah. Now it's like super easy. I don't need to even walk.
There you go. All right. I'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bebop.